Boys and girls, I'm reviewing the lesson that starts on 162, Lesson 11, Summarizing Literary Texts. So if you don't have your workbook, please get it out now. At the top, the learning target says identifying the most important events and details in a story or play helps you summarize and better understand what you read. There at the read part, it says when you summarize a literary text, you briefly retell story details and events in your own words. A good summary includes only important story details. It tells about the main characters and setting. It also describes the plot, which is the story events, including the problem the characters face and its solution. Okay, the first story is called A Jacket in the Boot. Let's look at that before we go over the answers. When we visited my parents' friends in England, their son James and I became fast friends. One afternoon, he and I decided to go to the park. It was cool outside, so James was looking for his jacket. Then he said, "Oh, I think I left it in the boot." I looked at him puzzled. Why would he leave his jacket in a boot? James started laughing. Then he told me that in England the trunk of a car is a boot. We had taken a drive in the countryside earlier. Because it had been warmer then, he had left his jacket in the trunk instead of wearing it. Guys, if you want to just pause right now and just look at this, you can. I am going to go over it, but if you want to come back and look at a visual, you can rewind the video until you get to here. Okay, the characters, they already gave those to us, an American boy and James, an English boy. The setting, England on a cool afternoon. That's all we really know. The problem is the English boy used a word that confused the American boy. Here are the four most important events. Number one, an American boy visits England and becomes friends with James, an English boy. Number two, they want to go to the park. Number three, James looks for his jacket and then says he left it in the boot. And number four, the American boy is puzzled about what James means. Here is the solution. James explains that in England, a boot is the trunk of a car. Now for your summary, you could say something like this. An English boy named James and his American friend decide to go to the park. James says that he left his jacket in the boot. The American boy is confused and asks what James means. James explains that in England, a boot is the trunk of a car. Now let's go to the next lesson, which is called the mix-up. And if you look and see what is underlined here, that goes along with the close reader habits. And the close reader habit says, underline the most important details that help you summarize the story. So in paragraph 1, we need to underline last month, Jenna, and then the word mom. In paragraph 2, would you please deliver these packages for me? Then underline Great Aunt Sally. 1 is for your cousin Joey. In paragraph 3, if you'll just underline the two words small town. Let's see if you can see that. Okay, I guess that gives more about the setting. Number 4, if you'll underline Great Aunt Sally's house, she suddenly realized that neither package had a name on it. There's the problem. Down in paragraph 5, Sally answered the door wearing a bright new baseball jersey. And then paragraph 6, she glared at Jenna, who quickly recognized her mistake. Okay, look at the characters you've got: Jenna, Jenna's mom, and Great Aunt Sally. We're not including Cousin Joey because he really doesn't show up in the story he's just mentioned. The setting, they've already given that. Jenna's house and the neighborhood are the two main settings. The problem is the presents are not labeled, so Jenna doesn't know who the presents go to. Here are the events. There are 5 main events. Jenna announces she's going for a bike ride. Number 2, Jenna's mom asks her to deliver birthday presents to relatives. Number 3, Jenna delivers the presents without knowing which present goes to which relative. Number 4, Jenna and her mom visit Great Aunt Sally. And number 5, Mom notices that Great Aunt Sally is wearing the jersey meant for the cousin and she's unhappy. The solution is that Jenna realizes she has mistakenly delivered the presents to the wrong people. And in a way that may not seem like a solution, but a solution and a resolution is the same thing. How a story is resolved is basically how it ends up. So if you don't see a solution to the problem in the way you think it should be, just look for how the story is wrapping up. Now let's skip over to page 168, the mix-up. Here you gave a short response. It says write a short summary of the mix-up. In it, be sure to include important characters and events from the text. This is the one that I found in the teacher book, so yours won't be exactly like this, but just compare it. In the mix-up, Jenna faces a problem. Her mother asked her to deliver presents on her bike, but the presents aren't labeled, and Jenna is confused. She doesn't know who is supposed to get which present. She decides to deliver the presents anyway. Later, when Jenna and her mother visit Great Aunt Sally, she and her mom find out that Jenna had delivered the presents to the wrong people. And if you want to stop and just take a look at this when you can, like I said, if you have most of this, it's fine, even if it's not exactly like this. Okay, let's go backwards now to the Blind Man and the Elephant. This is written as a drama or a play. The close reader habit says, why do the 4 blind men disagree about what an elephant looks like? Reread the drama, underline details that explain why the men disagree. I'm just going to let you look at this here. You can make sure you underlined what they did. Okay, let's read it real quickly and then we'll go to the questions. Line 1. 4 blind men stand by a road. A man on an elephant rides by. Line 2. The rider says, make way, I must take my elephant by. The first man, I have never seen an elephant, sir. The other men, nor I. The rider, never? Do you not know what he is like? All 4 men, no, sir. The rider, come then, stand by him and touch him. The first man, he's placing his hand on the elephant's side. How interesting. Now I know all about him. He is exactly like a wall. The second man is feeling the tusk. Ha! Not at all like a wall. He is round and smooth and sharp. He is like a spear. The third man is feeling the trunk. Oh no, he's like a snake. And the fourth man is feeling a leg. Oh, how wrong you are. He is round and tall like a tree. Then all 4 men start arguing. The rider says, yet none of you can see. Ha, ha, ha. He rides on laughing. The first man says, ha, ha, ha. Hear how he laughs at you all. The second man says, he laughs at you and the others. The third man says, he laughs not at me. And the fourth man says, I say he laughs at all 3 of you. And it ends with the 4 men shake their fingers angrily and shout at each other. Okay, let's look at our first question. It says, choose the 3 most important events to use in a summary of the drama. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is what the teacher book says. A is important. An elephant rider allows 4 blind men to touch the elephant. B is important. The blind men touch different parts of the elephant. E is important. Each man claims that only he knows what an elephant is like. Now, what's wrong with C? One man says the elephant must be like a snake. That is a detail, but it's not an important event. D, one man declares the elephant is round and tall like a tree. It's a detail. And F, the blind men cannot agree about why the rider is laughing. That is important, but not quite as important as the other 3 things. Number 2, which statement best summarizes why the elephant rider laughs? Here are 4 choices. Each man believes the rider is laughing at the other man. Perhaps, but is that really why the elephant rider laughs? B, 3 of the men agree the rider is laughing at what the 4th man has said. C, none of the men can see the elephant, but all 4 claim to be experts on its appearance. Or D, the 4 men foolishly thank the reader for allowing them to get close to his pet elephant. No, I don't think D even happened. C is the best answer. It says, none of the men could see the elephant, but all 4 claim to be experts on its appearance. So here, once again, are the answers if you just want to pause and make sure about yours. Okay, let's go to the next page. Page 169. This is where you write a chart. Let me just let you see this real quickly in case you want to pause and look at it and compare it to your chart, or you can come back to it later as well. Now, the characters, okay? You have an elephant rider and 4 blind men. The setting, a road in India. Now, it really never said India, but it did say it was a folk tale from India, so I just said maybe this could be a road in India. Okay, the problem. Each blind man touches a different part of an elephant and gets a different idea of what it's like based on that one part. Here is the plot. There are 3 different things. An elephant rider allows 4 blind men to touch the elephant. Number 2, the blind men touch different parts of the elephant. Number 3, each man claims that only he knows what an elephant is like. And the solution, the rider leaves laughing because they're all wrong. Once again, it's just kind of how the story wraps up. And then you needed to do a short response. So here is one that they gave us. A man riding an elephant passes 4 blind men. They say they have never seen an elephant, so the rider offers to let them touch it. Each man touches a different part of the elephant and decides on the elephant's looks based on the part he touches. Each man claims he is right, although they are all wrong. The men argue as the elephant rider rides off, laughing about their mistaken thinking. If you notice in this summary, not every detail is given. It doesn't tell what the first man touched and thought, what the second man touched and thought, the third and the fourth. It simply sums it up by saying each man felt a different part and based what he thought about the elephant on the part he touched. Okay, let's see, guys. There was one more thing. The 2 frogs. I did read that last week, so I don't think I'll read that again. It's kind of long. You can read it again. If you want to stop and read it again real quickly, though, you can. Okay, on number 1, it said create a summary of important story events by choosing sentences from the box. Write 3 sentences that describe the events in the box title summary. So here you've got the 6 sentences to choose from. You can see the ones that I chose and the answer down here if you'd like to stop and look. And it did say you have to put your answers in chronological order. So number 1, the frogs were traveling to new towns. Number 2, they tried to see the town they hoped to visit. Number 3, they decided to continue their journeys. I know that's really in a nutshell or a short version, but that's what a summary is. The first sentence in the box, said the frogs rested in the cool, damp shade. That's not quite as important. The third one down, it took time for the frogs to climb the mountain. That's not really important. And the last one, they were surprised to see another frog. Maybe, but that's a minor detail. At the bottom, number 2, which statement best summarizes paragraphs 7 and 8? Listen to those real quickly. Dear me, cried the Osaka frog, Kyoto is exactly like Osaka. It is certainly not worth such a long journey. I shall go home. If I had had any idea that Osaka was only a copy of Kyoto, I should never have traveled all this way, exclaimed the frog from Kyoto. As he spoke, he took his hands from his friend's shoulders, and they both fell down on the grass. They gave a polite farewell and set off for home again, and to the end of their lives they believed that Osaka and Kyoto, which are as different as two towns can be, were alike as two peas. Okay, so number 2, which statement best summarizes paragraphs 7 and 8 in the text? A says, both frogs show each other proof that their hometowns and the towns they are traveling to are copies of each other. That didn't happen, did it? B, both frogs decide to stop traveling because they incorrectly believe the new towns are like their hometowns. C, both frogs politely say goodbye and leave for their hometowns after falling on the grass. That's true, but that's not the best summary. D, both frogs say they wish they had never started on their journeys, and then they leave for home. I know that at least one of them says that, but that's not the most important thing. B is the best answer. It summarizes those paragraphs. It says, both frogs decide to stop traveling because they incorrectly believe the new towns are like their hometowns. Turn the page now to 174. Part A, which statement best describes why the frogs make the mistake they did? The correct answer is C. The frogs' noses pointed in the right direction, but their eyes only saw what was behind them. Let's look at the other answer choices. A, Kyoto looked exactly like Osaka, so the frogs did not think such a long journey was worth it. Well, no, Kyoto didn't really look exactly like Osaka. They just thought it did. B, each frog stood up on his hind legs and held onto the other frog to see the town. Yeah, that happened, but that's not really why they made the mistake. D, the frogs got confused about the direction each of them had been traveling. No, I thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. So C is the correct answer here. And at the bottom, you can see that the word dwelt, the best word, means lived. The sentence was, in paragraph 1, what is the meaning of dwelt? And it says, one made his home in a ditch near the town of Osaka on the seacoast. The other dwelt in a clear little stream that ran through the city of Kyoto. That means he lived there. Let's look now at the short response. Let me read it, and then I'll just let you, I'll show it to you so you can pause it and look at it if you want to. Now listen for the question carefully. It doesn't ask you to summarize the whole story. It says summarize important story events that occur after paragraph 4 when the frogs decide to view the towns from the mountain. Use story details to support your summary. Listen to their first sentence. In paragraph 6, the frogs help each other stand up to see the towns they want to visit. I like that the teacher workbook said in paragraph 6 because then someone could go back and check on that to be sure. As the frogs stand up, their eyes point backwards. The story says, and this is in quotation marks, their eyes beheld the places from which they had come. Now the quotation mark ends. Then they said, based on their confusion about the towns they see, the two frogs wrongly conclude that the towns are very much like their own and that the long journey is not worth the trouble. As a result, they leave for home, never learning that Osaka and Kyoto, and this is in quotes, are as different as two towns can be, end quote. So even though this is my handwriting, what I did is I looked at the teacher workbook and I copied what they had written down. Yours is probably not going to sound exactly like this because a grown-up wrote it, but as long as you have the main gist of what is written here, which means as long as yours is pretty close to that and you have the important details covered, then that's fine. Guys, we are working on, let's see, the next thing we're doing this week. I think I told you in the other video, but it is lesson 3, understanding technical text. So you'll start with page 38, fill in anything you didn't get to on these pages here. If you didn't write anything, please fill them in now. Okay. Sometimes you had makeup work to do or other things and couldn't quite get to that part. Be sure that for this last section that you do the short response. You don't normally have to do the learning target, but of course you always can. But anyway, do your very, very best, and we'll go over these answers next week.